Paul Donato, you're the representative from Medford and Malden, is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you have anything you want to say to the audience out here regarding universal health care? People have been saying that you have never supported universal health care.
Well, first of all, I was the first signator on the universal health care. Second of all, I want to just make sure somebody understands this clearly, and that is that we have the health care program in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that is working. 469,000 people have signed up for health care, and the program is working. We're working toward getting everyone in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts involved in our health care program. Commonwealth Care is working. It's working well. It's saving money, and it's making the hospitals, emergency wards, have a 37% less
37% now.
less are going into the emergency wards, and the free care pool that we had put in $750 million, we've already seen a 68% reduction in that money as well.
On low-income housing, Paul, there's been many bills in there. Are you still in support of this? People have said you saved.
Oh, well, let me say this. Next week, I'm being honored by Housing Families of Malden for the work that I've done on the RAFT program, which is a program that allows people who are looking for first-time rentals to get into the rental program, and it gives them the opportunity to have rental assistance, and that rental assistance makes it possible for people who are looking for housing, people who can't afford the first, last, and the security deposit. This gives them the opportunity to do that. And low-income housing and affordable housing. I belong to the Low-Income Housing Task Force at the Rivers Edge project. I am in the forefront of making sure that whatever projects are done, whether it be renovating our schools or doing anything else in our communities, whether it be Malden or Medford, that affordable housing is part of the project.
Let me ask you that, because some people have been saying that you're anti-women, and anti-women because you voted against some bill, and I understand today you raised $1,000, $500 for each program for 2 women's projects?
That's correct.
That's private funded?
That's correct. I have been in the forefront since I first got elected. I've been in the forefront of providing $150,000 to Portal to Hope, a program that's specifically designed to help battered women in Medford, Malden, Everett, and in Winthrop. That's the kind of program that really does things for women, and making sure that those women who are battered are safe. We find a safe haven for them and for their families. That's the important part. I've been in the forefront of that since the beginning of my term as a member of the state state representative. The Bread of Life program. You'd be surprised how many women, homeless women, are living in their automobiles with their children who have no food. This is a program that I've supported. I'm attempting to get an additional $50,000 so that we can build a facility in Malden to care for the homeless people who are out there who are looking desperately to just provide some kind of substance for their family.
That's an interesting program. Now we talk about the issue on gay rights. Now I know. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I've got Barack Obama's stand, and I'm going to read it, and you can tell me if this is your stand too. Currently, as Barack Obama of the presidential campaign for the Democratic Party has stated on his website, if you'd like to look it up. Currently on Massachusetts recognizes equal marriage's right for same-sex couples, states the Human Rights Campaign. Do you believe in civil unions of marriage with absolute no requirements imposed on religious institutions should be made legally available to 2 committed adults of the same sex? Do you believe this? His answer was, I oppose it. Barack Obama, is that your stand also?
My position is very clear. I was one of the first signatories for the Domestic Partners Bill and for the Civil Unions Bill. I am not in favor of same-sex marriage.
Is that because of political reasons? I mean, is that based on...
No, that's not based on political reasons. It's based upon my position is the same as the standard bearer of the Democratic National Party, our presidential candidate. The Democratic National standard bearer for our party is saying that he is opposed to same-sex marriage, but he's for domestic partners and civil unions. And that's the same position I've had from the very beginning, from the time I first took office.
And aren't you the chairman of the Democratic Party in Medford?
Yes, I
So
am.
that would be consistent with the Democratic Party view. Is that not true?
If he's the standard bearer as the presidential nominee of the Democratic Party, and his position is the same as mine, it would seem to me that that must be the position of the Democratic Party.
So-
Otherwise, they wouldn't have given him the nomination.
And it would seem, it would appear to me, as a member of the Democratic Party also, that the people who are claiming that that's the only issue you should be voting against you on, would be voting against Barack Obama.
If they're very upset at my position relative to same-sex marriage, they should be very upset at the same position of Barack Obama, because we have both holding the same position. And you know, let me just make this perfectly clear as well. That issue is over. The issue was voted upon by the members of the legislature. It was, the question was to put it on the ballot. That didn't pass. The state Supreme Court has indicated that same-sex marriage is legal in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I raised my hand and said I would support the Constitution. If that's the interpretation of the Supreme Court, and that's the will of the legislature, then it's my obligation to go along with the will of the Supreme Court and what the Constitution interpreted by them is all about. I may disagree personally, but I'm going to celebrate the same things that they're celebrating. If same-sex couples are going to get married, then you know, that's what the rules say, that's what the law says, then so be it.
What other issues have you been working on as a state legislature? In a few minutes, because we only have a few minutes of time,
Okay.
3 minutes or so.
One of my opponents has always been harping on the fact of workers' rights and social justice. And so what I say to that at this particular time is, let's ask the senior citizen who has no food in her refrigerator and no oil in her tank, whether or not, you know, who put $500,000 into the budget for the Meals on Wheels program? Who put $15 million into the fuel assistance program? She'll tell you it was Paul Donato, and that's social justice. Let's ask the kids at Medford High School, who my opponent talks about, that I went, the gay and lesbian community kids that were there, and who treated them with respect and understanding, even though we didn't agree on the particular issue. It was Paul Donato, they will tell you, and that to me is social justice. And let's ask the battered women in Massachusetts. Let's ask the battered women in Medford, Malden, Everett, and Chelsea. Let's ask those people who put $150,000 into the budget to make it so that there was possibility for them to find shelter when they needed it for themselves and their children, and they'll tell you it was Paul Donato. To me, that's social justice. And let's ask the local 22, workers, and let's ask the Labor Council workers, and let's ask the Carpenters Union, the 218 Carpenters Union, and the SEIU workers, who stood with them at their rallies, who stood with them for justice, for work conditions, and for equal pay, and they'll tell you it was Paul Donato. That's why they're supporting me, even though one of their own is a member of the SEIU union.
One
of my opponents
is running against you, is a member of the SEIU union, right, and you
have received the
endorsement.
Right. I have been a responsive member of the state legislature, one who takes my job very serious. I returned every single phone call, every email, every letter, regardless of whether it is in opposition to a stand that I've taken or whether somebody's just calling to thank me for a position I've taken. Regardless of what it is, I'm there. I want to know what the people of my district want from me so that I can go up there and be educated on their issues, on their concerns, and the concerns that they have are the concerns that I have as well. We may not agree on every single issue. You wouldn't want someone who just agreed with you on every single issue. But you want someone who's responsive, who's understanding, and who's willing to stand up for what that person believes in and works for you. And I just appreciate your vote.